We have Federalist 78 notes now, so that way we have all your documents together, your required documents together to study. Should be a green sheet, and or you've printed it, I guess, but better if you use the green sheet I've got, so it's all really easy to find in your notebook to study. So we're looking at required foundational document number 8, Federalist 78. Of course, I had to do the judiciary branch. So let's go ahead and get some notes on this. These are the things that you really need to know. Remember, these are so critical to be able to know, because when you write an argumentative essay for the AP test, then you're not going to be allowed to have these in front of you. You're going to have to know them and have them memorized, at least a few points that you can use as evidence from each of the documents. So this is like one of the most important things for us to remember. All right, so backside. First off, sorry, not backside, but the front side of this document. So first bullet point, tenure. How long? They get good behavior. So for good behavior, which means life. So the tenure, in terms of how long they will serve, their tenure is for life. And they use the term for good behavior. Second, why life tenure? Like, what's the reason for that? And one of the arguments that Hamilton makes is that it leads to impartial administration of laws, meaning fairness. They're much more to be fair if they have life tenure than if they have a temporary appointment. Of course, at any point, pause if I'm going too fast. And the problem is that if it's a temporary office, then the judge is too worried about getting reelected or reappointed. And so therefore they're worried about popularity with the people. And obviously you don't want a case being decided based on the mob. The mob outside hates this person or thinks the person is awful. Come to find out, the evidence is actually pretty scant that the person did anything wrong. And this has happened many, many times in cases in the United States where people hear about it on the news, they hate the person, come to find out that the evidence says something entirely different. And then the court ends up not finding the person guilty, and people go nuts because of that. But at the same time, we didn't all get to see the evidence. The people in the jury did. So you don't want court cases being decided based on the popularity of, on a poll of people on Twitter. Judiciary is also, he argues, the least dangerous branch. It doesn't have the power of the sword or the purse, meaning the power of enforcement, nor the power of money. So it's the least dangerous to our rights, he argues. So there's that extra thing, no power of sword or purse. All right, remember, sword enforcement, purse meaning budgetary power. And then the last argument that he makes is that judiciary must declare all acts contrary to the Constitution void. And when he uses the word void, he means unconstitutional. And this is the principle known as judicial review. Judicial review, which we'll get into when we get to Marbury versus Madison, which is coming up very quickly. So judiciary must declare all acts contrary to Constitution void. So those are really, in a nutshell, the 3 big issues dealt with in Federalist 78, and you need to know them really, really, really well. All right, awesome. Take your whiteboard, study this for a few minutes, take your whiteboard and write out in your own words as best you can what it is, and then compare it to this list. Just take the piece of paper and turn it over, so that way you can't see it. You might even look at it and write it and then turn it over and write it. But either way, practice it until you know it perfectly. There's no substitution for knowing this really well. Thank you.